First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
In tonight's headlines, Rajitha Senaratne's comments on Horan Attire Factory incorrect, says Malik. A Northern Province Chief Minister appeals to President to save lives of hunger strikers. New social dialogue on corruption created, says President. And in sports, Sri Lanka claims first ever series win in South African soil. Good evening everyone and welcome to News Tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. As always, I'm Mahesh Johnny. Let's begin with the local news. President Maithripala Sirisena says a broad social dialogue on corruption, fraud and waste has surfaces within the country after he assumed duties as the country's leader. Addressing an event today to mark International Customs Day, the President cited such dialogue as timely. International Customs Day recognizes the role of custom officials and agencies in maintaining border security. This year's theme is data analysis for effective border management.
රාජ්‍ය සේවාවේ බොහෝ වංශගත් විට දූෂණය නාස්තිය කියන එක
Corruption in the public sector is not something new. There are people in every field who put their hard work and dedication into work. And there are others who are accused of following alternative paths to succeed. We always talk about how developed nations have achieved their status. We even take some countries as example to grow. We ask ourselves whether we also cannot achieve all of that. I believe it is of utmost importance to politicians, state employees and all citizens to put their qualities of honesty, dedication and generosity to build this nation.
තමාගේ මාතෘ භූමිය ගොඩනැගීම සඳහා ඉතා අත්‍යවශ්‍ය වූ දෙයක්.
Northern Province Chief Minister C.V. Vigneswaran has appealed to President Maithripala Sirisena to send a senior minister to Vavuniya to give some assurance to the men and women who are on a fast unto death that government would take steps to address their demands regarding forced disappearances and political prisoners. Addressing the event to open a religious consular office in Jaffna by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Northern Province Chief Minister further expressed views on the national issue of decentralizing of power.
Today is the fourth day of fast of the relatives of those missing or who have disappeared. The doctors had examined the Satyagrahis last night and stated that they are fast reaching coma stage. Something need to be done to assure them that steps will be taken to investigate the whereabouts of persons who were handed over in the presence of witnesses to the armed forces. It is useless for political reasons to say they are all dead or have gone abroad. Without having proper inquiries, what right have anyone to generalize they are all dead or have gone abroad? The matter of missing persons I foresee taking a very critical turn soon if any of those who are fasting now pass away. Let me turn to another matter now. Honourable Minister is no doubt aware of the difference between decentralization and devolution of powers. Decentralization here in opening the consular office has used the principle of subsidiarity, where any activity which can be performed by a more decentralized entity should be allowed to be to the peripheral rather than held on doggedly by the center. We here in the northern and eastern provinces do not consider ourselves minorities. We are majority in our areas from time immemorial. This was accepted by the Sinhalese leaders as far back as in 1990. Hence, we have endeavoured to appeal for total devolution of powers, which will adequately allow us to mind our own business while acting in consonance and camaraderie with the centre.
The Government Medical Officers Association says that the lack of contact lenses and machinery could lead to a reduction in the number of eye surgeries taking place in government hospitals in the country. Addressing a media briefing held in Colombo, the secretary of the association made this statement in reply to the government's decision of providing free contact lenses for cataract surgeries.
There is a statement given from the Ministry of Health. They are going to provide lenses for the cataract surgeries free of charge. So actually it's a good policy decision. The GMI decided to give their fullest support to implement this program with effectively. Unfortunately, at the moment, the health officials fail to provide sufficient numbers of lenses and the machines to the units established for the eye surgeries all over the country. Because of that, the number of surgeries doing all over the country got reduced. We asked to the health officials take intermediate intermediate measures and stop this crisis situation. Otherwise, more than 4,000 surgeries per month will not happen. The Director General of Health Service has issued another circular accepting that they can't provide sufficient numbers of lenses to this policy decision, and he asked to local purchase from the Osusala. The Osusala also doesn't have the enough number of lenses. We have to respect the right of the patients to have the best quality equipments for their medical purposes. Otherwise, quality of the services will drop. So at the moment, 26 hospitals, they don't have the pico machines which is necessary to implement the cataract surgery. Till such time, very unfortunately, we have to abide with the circulars, and it's not the fault of the doctors but the ministry officials which are not comply with the policy decisions made by minister.
India says the country will stand by Sri Lanka to assist in whatever way they can. The new High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Tharanjit Singh Sandhu, speaking this, said that India, he made mention this at the celebrations in Colombo today. Meanwhile, at Rajpath, the ceremonial road in the heart of New Delhi, India celebrated its 68th Republic Day with a grand parade. Republic Day honours the date on which the Constitution of India came into effect on 26th of January 1950, becoming the largest democracy in the world. As per tradition, President Pranab Mukherjee, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Ministers, dignitaries and hundreds of others watched the parade that showcased India's military strength and cultural diversity. The Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Mohammed bin Saeed Al Nahyan, was the chief guest this year. The presidents of the United States and France attended the ceremonies during the preceding 2 years. India's light combat aircraft Tejas made its debut at the parade. Tejas, as a fourth-generation aircraft, can fly at 1,350 km per hour and is comparable to the world's best fighters. For the first time in the history of Republic Day celebrations, India also witnessed the Black Cat commandos of the elite counter-terror force NSG march down Rajpath today. It was reported that heavy security was in place after intelligent warnings of a terror attack through air and terrorists disguising themselves as security personnel. Meanwhile, as a grand gesture for their country, 68th Indian Republic Day was celebrated in the Indian High Commission of Colombo today. Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka read out Republic Day speech on behalf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Indian community in Sri Lanka.
In a fiercely competitive world, we have to work harder than ever to redeem the promises that we make to our people. We have to work harder on our war on poverty. We have to work harder to provide safety and security to our women and children. We have to work harder to change our consumption pattern, which has resulted in environmental and ecological degradation. We have to work harder to keep at bay the dark forces of terrorism. These forces have to be dealt with firmly and decisively. We have to work harder to ensure the well-being of our soldiers and security personnel who protect us from internal and external threats.
In one of our headline stories, Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama denies the statement made by Minister Rajitha Senaratne regarding the project to manufacture radial and solid tyre at Vagawatha, Horana. Issuing a statement today, Minister Samaravikrama said the statement made by Senaratne on this issue is incorrect. It is their money. It is not about relationships. The Prime Minister had got to know the person in the morning. He was considering whether to attend the ceremony or not. Everything had been organized by that time to welcome the Prime Minister. Finally, he decided to attend as it would be rude not to. Ministers should actually be responsible for that. No one can sell an acre at 100 rupees.
Meanwhile, issuing a statement today, Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama said that it is necessary to emphasize the fact that both President and Prime Minister were aware of the investor since they were informed well in advance. The statement further says that two cabinet papers, that is, initially one proposing the land and one giving details of the incentives and other terms, were submitted on this project, and in addition the project was discussed and endorsed at several meetings of Cabinet Committee on Economic Management. Minister Samaravikrama says the statement that the land was given at 100 rupees per acre is incorrect. In fact, he says the government chief valuer had valued the land at 170 million rupees and the investor has agreed to pay the total amount up front. The statement adds that the 100-acre land at Horana Vagavatta Industrial Zone is a bare, underdeveloped land, and based on the technical investigations, it is noted that the investor has to incur a sum of about 300 to 400 million rupees as per the estimate to bring the land to a utilizable state. It says that the BOI is not providing any infrastructure facilities as in other zones, and all internal roads will have to be constructed by the investor. The statement goes on to say that BOI should promote investment and if necessary regulations and rules need to be changed to attract investments, as the current regulations have failed to bring in investors. Sri Lanka attracted $970 million in foreign direct investments in 2015, and in 2016 it will be around $450 million, which is extremely low by any standard, the statement goes on to say. The total investment of the Horana tire factory is $75 million, and the project will employ around 3,000 people.
Well, the ultimate goal of the major religions of the world, whether it is Buddhism or Islam, Hinduism or Christianity, is to create a righteous human being. This is the story of a young boy who lost his love of his mother but has achieved happiness through religion.
7-year-old Ismail Aslam, who had lost the love of his mother, was handed over to the Dimbulagala Forest Monastery by his father 2 weeks ago. Aslam used to live with his father Muhammad Ismail in Ratnapura. He lost all connections with his mother 5 years ago when she left him to go abroad. Ismail and his father struggled for survival for a long time. Having no alternative, his father decides to introduce him to Milane Siri Alanka Thera. Now Ratnapure Sri Sudarshana Alankara Thera, he attributes his new life to be his most content achievement.
Dhammam Saranam Gacchami මේ ස්ථානයේ මේ වෙනකොට පැවිදි භාවය ලැබලා ඉන්නවා.
There are Tamil, Muslim and Vedha children who have been ordained in this forest monastery. Recently we got a small boy who was handed over to the temple. We ordained him and now he is studying in the Dimbulagala Mahakashapa Pirivena. He was born to a Muslim family.
There are thousands of Theras who had been ordained at this temple. Unlike other forest monasteries in Sri Lanka, the Dimbulagala Forest Monastery is unique. It is home to 65 bhikkhus hailing from various religious, social and ethnic backgrounds.
On Biz tonight, Sri Lanka's first and only computer manufacturing plant, eVis, has been able to expand its manufacturing capacity from just 70 units a day to over 500 units daily. Set up in 2013 to create employment to Sri Lankan youth in the Hambantota district, eVis to date employs over 200 in its factory in Suryawava. eVis Sri Lanka, only original device manufacturer, was just a manufacturer of desktop computers when it launched services in 2013 at its Suryawava plant. Today the company specializes in tablets, smartphones, all-in-one devices, televisions, power banks and other devices. The plant in Suryawava is also accredited as a Microsoft OEM named partner. It is also granted ISO 9001-2008 certification.
What I always think is we need to have more competition. When you have competition, we improve our products. What I urge from the government is to have a proper computer or electronic standards to manufacturing standards. We don't want to be only a local brand, we want to make it an international brand. We have our all international standard certifications. There are no standards in Sri Lanka.
Also in business news, the finance ministry says that Sri Lanka's foreign debt repayment would rise from $1.8 billion in 2016 to $3.9 billion in 2019. The finance ministry said in a statement that this could be considered as the highest sum of debt servicing to be repaid by an independent Sri Lanka within a year. In 2014, government debt service was $1,442 million. A statement says the total debt stock of Sri Lanka has gone up by 233% to 7,391 billion rupees during the period from 2005 to 2014. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Ravi Karunanika has said the current government is engaged in a mission to bring investment to the country, thereby generating employment and income to the country. He said that he will save the country from the existing foreign debt burden. Colombo Stock ended green today as price gains in countries such as Carson Cumberbatch, United Motors Lanka and Hatton National Bank pushed the all-share price index up. For more details on the day's market performances, we have R.M. Sivanathan from the Colombo Stock Exchange.
The benchmark all-share price index gained 2.97 points to close at 6,130.05. While the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index gained 4.98 points to close at 3,479.39. The turnover was 287.8 million rupees with 8.86 million shares changing hands in 2,148 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,702.14 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were Guardian Capital, Bedawala Resorts, Mahavali Reach Hotels, HNB Assurance and Tabraben Holdings. While the top 5 losers were SMB Leasing, Chilau Finance, Kalpiti Beach Resort, Lucky Lanka Non-Voting and Nation Lanka Finance. Today, there were 4 crossings and the crossing turnover was 108.4 million rupees. Today's foreign purchases was 179.25 million rupees and the foreign sales was 72.41 million rupees.
Also in business news, the Sri Lankan rupee was steady in thin trade today as dollar demand from importers was offset by selling of the US currency by exporters, a day after the central bank revised the spot reference rate by 10 cents to a record low. Rupee forwards were active with 2-week forwards trading at 150 rupees to 95 cents per dollar. 2 weeks forwards closed at 150 to 151 rupees yesterday. Let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies. On to some news that all Sri Lankans can be proud about. Sri Lanka produced a stunning performance to beat South Africa by 5 wickets in the third T20 International at Newlands, Cape Town, to secure Sri Lanka's first trophy on South African soil. Sri Lanka now look forward to the 5-match one-day series with South Africa in Port Elizabeth beginning on Saturday.
After a complete defeat in the tests against South Africa, Sri Lanka bounced back to complete one of the highest T20 run chase in Sri Lankan cricket history. Winning the toss and electing to bat, the hosts gave Sri Lanka a challenging target of 170 runs. AB de Villiers struck a smashing 63 off 44 balls on his return to international cricket after 6 months recovering from an elbow injury. South Africa's Reza Hendricks also made a significant contribution of 41 runs off 34 balls.
So many times, but not in the last 6 months. He hasn't forgot how to play it. 41.
Chasing the target, Sri Lanka's opening batsman Niroshan Dickwella made a career-best 68 runs off 51 balls at a strike rate of 133.33. South Africa dropped 5 catches, including 3 off successive balls in 1 over from Wayne Parnell.
Man out there. Oh, no. Oh, another one. Up in the air.
Sekuge Prasanna helped Sri Lanka claim a 2-1 series win, smashing the South African bowlers in a winning display of an unbeaten 37 from 16 balls. Sri Lanka reached the target with just 1 ball remaining.
They'll go. It's through. Sri Lanka have done it. What a chase this has been. Fabulous. Absolutely brilliant. Niroshan Dikwala set the stage but needed something special. We got a Sekuge Prasanna special. And another 2-1.
Niroshan Dikwala was named both man of the match and man of the series.
And from Mark Middleton. Have a picture there between the two of them. Fantastic achievement.
This is my first series in South Africa. I have never been to this country before, and it was a great playing here under these conditions against a good side.
And what is your role at the top of the order? What does Graham Ford tell you and the captain? Just go out there and express yourself?
Nothing much actually. I play my normal game in the first 6 overs and get some runs in the middle for the team.
And you've got all the different shots, the little ram shot. You're quite brave to get down and play that one?
So that's my strength actually. No, not trying to hit hard, but I'm playing with my strength.
In international news, Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto said yesterday that he regrets and disapproves the push by US President Donald Trump to build a new wall along the US-Mexico border. He further lamented the plans for the barrier, adding that Mexico doesn't believe in walls. But he made no mention of cancelling or postponing a trip to Washington on 31st of this month to meet the new president. New US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order for an impassable physical barrier and has insisted Mexico will reimburse the US for it. In reaction to this, Mexican President Pena Nieto told the nation in a televised address, quote, "I've said time and again, Mexico won't pay for any wall," end of quote. Building a 3,200-kilometer barrier along the Mexican border was one of Donald Trump's key pledges in the election campaign. Meanwhile, the US president has also said that he believes that waterboarding works, saying that we have to fight fire with fire. Trump told in an interview with ABC News that he would consult Defense Secretary James Mattis and CIA Director Mike Pompeo about what could be done legally to combat radicalism. The president said that while radical groups beheaded people in the Middle East, we're not playing on an even field. Waterboarding is the practice of pouring water over someone's face to mimic drowning as an interrogation tactic. It is widely considered as a form of torture and has been banned by the US.
As tactics to extract information.
Meanwhile, Britain's Prime Minister Theresa May has set out to meet US President Donald Trump later today in a visit that is expected to redefine the special relationship between the two countries. Trade will dominate the talks as Britain Prime Minister, who will be the first foreign leader to meet the new US President. It is reported that there will be attempts to strengthen her hand in Brexit talks with the European Union by forging a new free trade deal with the world's biggest economy, the US. Trump might use the meeting to go some way to winning concessions from Britain and bolster his vision of the United States exporting its way to prosperity. But for both, the road to any firm trade deal is littered with pitfalls and could end up causing strains on the historically close relations between the countries, ties that have been almost driven as much by the personalities of their leaders as national interests. Also in international news, a video uploaded to social media websites yesterday purports to show a group of Syrian rebels announcing the creation of Fao al-Ansar and joining the major Syrian Islamic rebel group Ahrar al-Sham. Ahrar al-Sham, a conservative Islamic group, is widely believed to be backed by Turkey and sided with the Free Syrian Army groups. It was reported today that 6 other rebel factions had joined its ranks in northwestern Syria in order to fend off a major assault by Jabhat Fatah al-Sham, a powerful jihadist group. Once allied with Al-Qaeda and formerly known as the Nusra Front, the hardline Fatah al-Sham attacked Free Syrian Army groups west of Aleppo this week, accusing them of conspiring against it at peace talks in Kazakhstan later this week. Ahrar al-Sham is considered a terrorist group by Moscow and did not attend the Russian-backed Astana peace talks. Internationally viewed as a terrorist group, Fatah al-Sham had been excluded from all diplomatic efforts to end the Syrian conflict. In weather tonight, prevailing rainy conditions are likely to enhance, particularly in northern, eastern, north central and Ua provinces, and also in the sea areas around the island, particularly in eastern and southern sea areas. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, north central, eastern, Ua and central provinces and in the Hambantota district. Showers or thunder showers will occur elsewhere, particularly after 2 p.m. Heavy rain of more than 100 millimeters are likely at some places, particularly in the northern, eastern, central and Ua provinces. Here's your city by city forecast. Well, with that, we end tonight's news on Other Derana 24/7. For the very latest in local, international, biz, sports and weather, do log on to www.otherderana.lk. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.